Hey guys, this is us in 2013. This is our first Disney cruise back when our kids were so young. And today we want to talk to you about everything you need to know about bringing your little ones on a Disney ship.
Well, we know that traveling with littles can sometimes be better in theory than in practice. Our very first Disney cruise, we had a 4-year-old, and on our very most recent Disney cruise, we had a 3-year-old. My nephew had just turned 3, and so we have been on Disney cruises with the full gambit of age ranges, and we have some things that will help make sure that your trip is magical all the way through.
So let's jump into the ages of each of the kids clubs on a Disney cruise ship, because things have changed. Just recently, things have changed. Why don't you just bring us up to date on what has changed with Disney Cruise Lines and the ages of kids?
Yeah, so the first thing that you need to know if you're thinking about traveling with littles is that no infant younger than 6 months will be allowed to board your Disney cruise. So if you are planning a Disney cruise and you find out you're expecting or you're currently expecting, you do need to do the math. Make sure that that little one is going to be over 6 months before embarkation day. And then all the way up till 3, that's when your child will be in the It's a Small World nursery, and that is an additional fee and it does require reservations. So factor that into the cost of your cruise, what you're gonna wanna pay for on board, or if you're gonna take advantage of it at all. And then once that child is 3 and potty trained, needs to be both,
Key
3
words.
and potty trained, they can go to the Oceaneer Club and the Oceaneer Lab. Now this is where the change was that up until very recently, Disney allowed children who were up to age 12 to go into those kids clubs, and there was a bit of an overlap with the preteen club, Edge. Well, that overlap is now gone. So at 10, that is going to be the last year for those kids to be able to go to the club and lab. And once they hit 11, they have to move up to Edge. And this is a bit of a controversial one for parents right now, because we all know families who have a very outgoing kid and one that's maybe a bit more cautious. That's the exact tale of our family. And so you might want to just think of your plans, look ahead, make sure if you do have that cautious kid that it's going to work for you.
So we get why Disney is doing this, and so it has been controversial just because Disney has always done it a certain way, and people have come to expect a certain way, and they plan their vacations around kind of these age brackets. And so we get why there's a little bit of angst, but I think in the long term it's a good thing, because in that elementary kind of age, that's a big, from 3 years old and potty trained all the way to 12 years old.
It's a big span.
And you have to come up with programming that fits that whole range of ages.
Yeah.
That's a big ask. So we get why they're doing it. I think the growing pains will be short term, and I think the advantages will be long term. So in a previous video, we did say that Disney was very accommodating when it came to just if you felt like your kid's a little bit feeling a little older and wants to jump into the higher age bracket, they could do that. Or if they wanted to stay behind and they had kind of a year where they kind of played with that a little bit and were flexible, I don't think the flexibility is going to be there anymore.
I don't think it's going to be either. And kind of, again, going back to maybe this is a positive, and I do think it is positive, but Disney has said that they're going to have enhanced programming for the 3 and 4-year-olds that are coming in too. So it is going to be a little bit more structured. It is going to be like a little bit more supervised, because right now there are some structured activities, but for the most part, it's kind of like a free play area, and kids can opt into the structure or opt out of it. And with 3 and 4-year-olds, they do need that little bit more
they need to be all in
handholding.
with the structure, with the programming.
Yeah, so this will allow Disney to kind of bring some resources over to make sure that those 3 and 4-year-olds have a great time.
So it makes a lot of sense, guys. If you're out there and you're upset about this, we totally empathize with you. We get it. But I think long term, we're all gonna forget about the debacle that is the changes. Nobody likes change. But I think long term it's going to be better for the kids and better for families.
I think so too. Okay, so let's move to staterooms, because Disney does have some things that they provide to make sure that you're a little bit more comfortable in your stateroom. You just need to let them know in advance.
If you're in that baby season and you have kids that are still in diapers, one of the things they offer is a diaper genie to keep kind of the smells under control in your stateroom. And so you can reserve that ahead of time and just let your...
on your reservation.
On your reservation,
when you do your check-in. Yeah, and then they also will provide a playpen or crib for you in your stateroom. They do have those like those bumper railing kind of things that you can get for your like pull down bunk bed that they'll set up. But if your child is too small for that, of course they will have something that you can use for a crib.
Yeah, and then bottle warmers. They have bottle warmers and sanitizers.
Yeah.
And so if you need something like that, where you don't have to pack that, bring that from home, you can reserve that ahead of time as well.
They also will not let you bring it on the ship, usually. So please do make sure that you do reserve it, and you don't get there and you're like, no, why didn't you let me bring this? Because they're happy to provide that for you. And then they are going to provide some things for you in the dining room too. So if you need a booster seat or a high chair, again, just let them know and they'll make sure that they set up your table to accommodate all of those things before you are even in the dining room.
And if you forget and you let them know when you're there, they'll set it up and then they'll have it on your ticket. They'll have it set up every meal that you have for sit-down service.
Yeah, so high chairs and boosters are kind of going to be easier to accommodate. But if you need those other things, please do make sure that they're on your reservation, because there are only a limited number that are stored on board the ship. So they are going to be planning that for that sailing based on reservations. So make sure that you note it. And it, again, is no additional charge to you. It's just a matter of doing the legwork.
Some other things that you want to think about before you even get to the ship is your rhythms around eating, because there are some vastly different eating times when it comes to your plan. And so there is a 5:45?
Yes.
5:45 dinner service, and then an 8:30 dinner service. So depending on how your rhythms are at home, might kind of influence what plan you want to take on.
Yeah, now that 5:45 dinner seating is the most popular by far. And so it's going to fill up and bump you into that second seating if you don't book your cruise well in advance. Now, once you get on board, you can join a wait list to swap your dining time, but it is going to be better if you know that you have little ones that are gonna be falling asleep at the table at 8:30 if you just book early. Now, they do have a really cool option if you do have to get that 8:30 time slot, where the kids club workers will actually come to the entrance of the restaurant. You can just let your server know that you're going to be taking advantage of that. They'll get the kids' food out early, and then those kids club workers will come and take them to play so that you can enjoy your meal and they're not just sitting and, again, falling asleep at the table.
They'll almost be eating their main while you're finishing up your appetizer. Kind of the timing will kind of be around that. And so that gives you the ability to enjoy your main and your dessert and not feel rushed and have your kids running around all over the place.
Yeah, now keep in mind that you do need to watch for them, because they're not going to come round kids up from the restaurant. So you will have to bring them to the front of the restaurant as soon as you see those yellow shirts come. But that is an option for you. Now, if you have kids that aren't eating like hard foods yet, they will have pureed vegetables at dinner if you just ask for it. If you request it, it's upon request, but the dining staff is happy to provide that for you, which is kind of nice. You don't have to pack all your own food.
And don't forget about room service as well. Room service is almost like a 24/7 thing. You do have to have cash for tips, but if you want to get a midnight snack, if you want to get cake of the day, whatever it may be.
Warm cookies and
milk,
or a fruit bowl if you want to do a healthy bedtime snack option.
Now, you can do breakfast as well if you want to have a more leisurely, lazy morning, but you will have to order that ahead of time. So you'll have a card in your room, you just fill out your breakfast order, hang it on your door.
And think like continental breakfast.
Yes.
Like it's pastries, like cereal. It's not going to be bacon and eggs. But I know like sometimes kids just need something little to eat right away upon waking, especially if you have an early riser. That might be a really good option to just trick off like an orange juice and one muffin, and then it will be there when they wake up.
And then of course there is all the dining on the pool deck, and those are open. Not all of them are open all the time, but they do, some of them stay open quite late into the night, and so there's some options there as well.
Now, there are lots of different room types that you can get on your Disney cruise, and I wanted to just give you kind of a thought about choosing your room. If you have kids who need to nap, oftentimes during the day, your room host is going to make that bunk bed disappear, and it's going to become just a couch. And so if your little ones need to nap on a bed, you might want to think about an inside stateroom, because the order of flow in your inside stateroom is going to be the door, the bathroom, the sofa, which will become the bunk bed, and then the main bed, which means that while they're napping, you can pull the curtains and still order that cake of the day. Where if you are in an ocean view or a veranda, it's reversed. So the bed is going to be in the middle of the room, sandwiched between the sofa and the door. And so if you're going in and out, you're gonna, you know, like kind of wake up your littles, and that's never fun when they're napping. So think through that in terms of the flow, not just for nighttime, but for those naps during the day, and what's gonna work for your family. But also based on which room you choose, it is going to either be extremely dark. If you have an inside stateroom, there's gonna be no light, or potentially extremely light. If you are on a lower floor with one of those ocean view or veranda rooms, the running lights are actually quite bright, shining through your curtains. So think through that in terms of what you need to pack. Do you need a nightlight for an inside stateroom and kids who are afraid of the dark, or do you need like a sleep mask or clothespins to keep those curtains really taut for an ocean view room that might be a little bit brighter? Now, just a hot tip, for a nightlight that is a very, very soft glow, if you get white balloons and stick a glow stick in them and tie them up, it will be a pretty soft nightlight that won't interrupt everybody else who's sleeping in the room, but maybe keep your little one feeling a little bit more comfortable.
All right, this talk keeps coming back to diapers.
Yes.
But it has to. If you have little ones who are still in diapers, there are no swim diapers allowed in the pools. Now, if they are in a swim diaper and they want to get wet and enjoy the water, there are some little spray park play areas that they can be a part of, but they cannot go in the pool with those swim diapers on. And so there is a requirement for potty training to be completed ahead of cruising.
And I know that can be annoying, but just think through the logistics of filtering water on a cruise ship. It is quite a hassle, and so they just want to make sure that there's no accidents happening in the pool, which is understandable, and maybe have that conversation even with your potty trained kids about making sure they let you know if they need to go to the bathroom so that you can do that. Now, inevitably, there are going to be things that go wrong on any vacation, and sometimes things can go extra wrong when we're traveling with littles, but having a little bit of insider knowledge, having some things to think through ahead of time can make all the difference between feeling like your vacation is crumbling and being able to take it in stride. And so if you do have one of those nights where, you know, bedtime was just rough, you're not gonna make it to the show, put the kids to bed and turn on your stateroom TV. All of those shows are televised in the internal system on the cruise, so you can watch them from your stateroom. So you don't have to miss it if, you know,
it's going to be underwhelming. The TV's about this big. just a heads up. It's not very big. If you're used to TVs in the Disney resorts, it is a third the size.
True. But it is something. At least you're not going to have like been hyping yourself up for this show and then you're going to miss it. Also, if you do have kids that are just falling asleep at dinner, or you just get there and it's just not going well, let your server know. They're happy to box things up or have it delivered to your room. We have done both of these things. I have watched Disney Dreams on the Stateroom TV, and we have had food boxed up and delivered to our room. And I was just so incredibly grateful. Those servers are there to make your life as parents easier. So treat them like the allies that they are. And if you need something, just ask. They're happy to help.
And like every cruise we've been on, the service it's almost uncomfortable.
It's true.
How great everybody is in just serving and making sure you're having a great time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, take advantage, absolutely. So speaking of things not going well, let's say you need some Tylenol or you need something for motion sickness. They do not kind of comp those things. You do have to go to the gift shop, but you can go to the gift shop and buy those things.
Yes.
Disney doesn't give them out for kids just because of liability issues, but you can purchase all of that stuff at the gift shop, and in case you didn't bring it.
Yeah, and now again, we have had this happen where we've had a motion sick kid and had to do that.
Yeah.
And again, the Disney crew goes above and beyond, and they absolutely did. For us, even people who weren't on our serving team were just so incredibly considerate and went the extra mile to make sure that we had a great time. So again, if anything is happening that, you know, is just, you need some help, ask a Disney cast member. They are there to help. They are happy to help. They want to make sure that your cruise is going to be amazing. And
your situation is not unique. They've probably seen it 100 times and they're ready to kind of jump in, and they have some protocols and know how to step into that. So
Now obviously always be considerate. Always use your own manners as moms and dads. Pave the way for our kids to learn manners, and recognize that, you know, they're not in charge of things going wrong either. So while the situation might be stressful,
absolutely,
be kind.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move away from the diapers, away from Tylenol and feverish kids and things going wrong, to all the fun stuff that you get to do on your Disney cruise. Now, there are the shows. The shows are great. It's what these ships are known for. And if you're bringing kids to those shows, you can ask for booster seats, as well as the popcorn. The popcorn is great. We recommend get the bucket. It's gonna be $8.50 or $8.30 for the bucket.
Yeah, it could go up if it's like a fancy one,
but
a regular bucket.
Just a regular bucket, $8.50. Use that for the duration of your trip, and the refills are gonna be like $1.50 or something like that. And so it's a great way to just kind of, every time you go to the show, bring your bucket along, $1.50, refill that. Everybody's having a great time. And
same if you go to the movies in the like the theaters on the ship, they do a popcorn outside of that too. And I mean, that's just classic, right? So go to the pool deck, get your soda or your juice, have your bucket of popcorn, and wow, it just feels like a big splurge.
Now the Disney ships are going to be full of Disney characters, and so this is a big part of cruising, is the character meet and greets. They do just such a great job at it. So there are going to be some long lineups. Be aware of the times. Pull out your Navigator app, kind of look for all the times. All the appearances of all these characters will be there. Some of the characters you can reserve to see, so you're going to do that through the app as well. We would recommend doing that as soon as possible. As soon as your booking window opens, because they will sell out. And if they do, don't fret. On day one, just go to guest services. Again, you can get on a wait list. If something happens or they cancel or they open up another slot because of high demand, then you're right there. So make sure that you do that. But again, like the big one is the princess meet and greet. Now these princesses are gonna come out one at a time too. Look at that Navigator app, like Lucas said, and then plan to be there 5 or 10 minutes ahead of that slot so that you're not waiting. So quick question, because I can't quite remember. Are these characters signing autograph books or doing any of that on the meet and greets? Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you bring that autograph book. Yeah, or bring something else.
we've seen people bring like a surfboard or something that's kind of nautical themed. And it's a great conversation starter too.
Mini surfboard, that's right. And they all signed it.
I thought that was a really cool idea. So the characters are only some of the fun that you can have on board a Disney cruise. Now we've talked about the Oceaneer Club and the Oceaneer Lab, and that is also just some of the fun. They have thought through so many things that are really great for families to do together.
Yeah, we'll connect that video where we kind of talk way more in depth than that.
Yeah, now like with babies, there's the Jack Jack Diaper Dash, which I just actually enjoy watching because they're all so cute.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
So cute.
Get up on an upper deck and look down on it, and it's great.
Yes. And then in one of the lounges, every morning, nice and early, because most littles are up at the crack of dawn, they do have a Disney Junior dance party too. So they'll have some of those characters come. So they've really thought through things that will be enjoyable for every age and stage. So again, make sure that you pull out that Navigator app. There is so much fun to be had together as a family, not just separated away in the kids clubs.
So guys, if we've added any value or given you a tip that maybe you didn't think of and you're gonna add it to your planning, would you just exchange a like and a comment, maybe a subscribe? And we want to continue to do this. We're having so much fun doing it, and we hope this is adding value to your next Disney cruise.
Yes. Now, one last tip, if you don't want to splurge for Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, or you have littles who maybe just won't sit long enough to enjoy the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, if you go and ask one of those fairy godmothers in training, they will often give you a free sprinkle of pixie dust that you can just then have that little special moment and go on your way. Well, I hear all the time, should we go with kids that are 2, 3, 4? Like, they're not gonna remember. Honestly, take the trip. Kids grow, they don't keep, and these are the memories that you are going to treasure for a lifetime. Whether they remember them or not, you are going to look back to those moments with such fondness, and it's your life too. So take the trip and make those memories. Those foundations are gonna be laid whether they remember it or not in terms of family bonding, and you never regret the trips that you take.
So guys, we're Maple Mickey, putting the magic back into your next Disney vacation, and we'll see you next time.